Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. I see they're going to have another attempt at trying to bring Russell Brand down. This time, more women coming forward, and they've handed a body of evidence over to be looked into in more detail. So they just might, on this occasion, take him to court. I suppose he will maintain that at the time, yes, he was promiscuous. He said so. They're his words. He was very liberal-minded. He kept the company of wrong ones. We've all seen that video where he's on board the plane with Diddy, Puff Daddy. So he's kept the company of some very, very, what we know to be, after all this time, finally we see that these people that he's kept the company of are not just wrong, but lawbreakers, totally immoral, and done things that could land them in a lot of serious trouble. I hope for Russell's sake he hasn't crossed over that line. Well, he'll have to defend himself, won't he, if they've got together a really, really strong case? Or could this just be a case of, well, he's not one of us now. He's not one of a liberal-minded type California-style-minded person, which is really the area in which he felt at home in back then in LA. And he had a lot of friends that are very liberal-minded. Could this be a case of them thinking, so he thinks he can walk away, turn his back on his former life? We put him at the top of the pile. We gave him fame and fortune. And does he think he can slip away just like that? I've always said that you can't do that. You can't ask for fame and fortune and then think that you can then do a U-turn and become a Christian. I don't think it works like that. I think if you've made a bargain with the wrong person, I don't think there's going to be a way out for you. They're always going to come and get you. Don't forget that Michael Jackson and Prince both looked for religion as a way of escaping. They both looked into the Jehovah's Witnesses, both of them. But at the end of the day, they were owned by a dark force, the very dark force that is the ruler of this system. And if he's decided that they're not going to just get away just like that, just because they've now made it, they're now millionaires, they don't have to worry about anything again in a material nature. So just because they think that they can then just turn around and just reject what put them at that top position in life, then maybe the dark force had decided that they needed to be taught a lesson. I wonder if Russell thinks that by turning to Christianity, he can whitewash his past. Well, it depends on whether it's genuine. But how do we know if it's genuine? Because he's not really a humble person. I don't see Russell Brand as a humble person. Not if he practices his faith in front of others. We all saw him do that prayer when Tucker Carlson was there. That's not really the actions of a humble Christian-minded person. That's the actions of someone that wants to build up a huge fan base. So I'm just wondering whether there's any truth in the fact that Russell could be a shill. He may not be what he seems. And maybe the left and his former comrades, they know that. And maybe they've decided that they're going to teach him a lesson and bring him down. through the court system. We'll have to find out just how many women have come forward. But I don't think it's looking good for Russell now. You know, there was a quiet period from last year when it all surfaced, and they used actors, didn't they, in place of the real people. And I thought to myself then it was a complete ruse, you know, a complete con. But if that was just a prelude to what's coming down the line now, and maybe they needed more time to put together a better case against him, and now that has happened, and so that evidence has now been passed on to the next level, and the CPS will decide on whether there's enough to prosecute him, or to at least bring a case against him, because that's how the Crown Prosecution Service works. They're given the file, aren't they? They're given some evidence, then they look at it, and then they decide on what are the chances of getting the conviction, because they don't really want to waste the taxpayers' money on a case in which they know they're not going to win. So they'll take the case on if all the women's statements ring true, if everything can be corroborated. I always find that word hard to say. Corroborated. Yeah, because I used to know this blogger had a lisp and he could never say it. And I heard him say it so many times, I started to say it in that lisp way myself. Yeah, it was funny. He thought I was taking the mickey out of him, and I wasn't. It was because I'd heard him say it in his lisp manner that I just started to say corroborated the same way. Anyway, I digress. What do I hope is going to happen? Well, all I hope that's going to happen in Russell Brand's case is, if he's done some nefarious things that were on the wrong side of the law, then maybe justice should prevail. Maybe the women that he's supposedly, what's the word? He says it's consensual sex. He said that about them all. He says it's always been consensual sex. But it looks as if some of them are coming forward to say that that's not the case. It wasn't. Well, this is what the court case coming up will be about. If the women can prove that it was certainly not consensual, then of course that will finish Russell Brand. That will be the end of his YouTube channel. But we have to sift between what could be the truth and what could be just a plan, an orchestrated plan, to bring down somebody that is speaking on subjects in which they don't want you to know about. So anybody that's at the moment that speaks on a subject where they're warning people about what the global elites are planning on doing, these will come under some kind of attack. So I have to weigh up in my own mind, because I have seen Russell's videos of the past, and I've seen how many really iffy people he kept company with. I have to work out whether during that time, during the height of his drug taking and his womanizing, I got to work out whether he did in fact overstep the mark. I hope he hasn't. I really hope that he hasn't. Because otherwise, that's it. His channel will gone. He won't be able to carry on. We'll have to see. But it looks like they're coming after them all. So this is them coming after Russell Brand. Will they go after Joe Rogan some time down the line because of his recent about changes? He's not as liberal as he used to be, Joe Rogan. So will they come after him? And is this what it's all about? If you talk about the establishment and what they plan to do, they find a way of discrediting you and removing you and taking away your audience and your livelihood. And if this is the case, then I think they'll come after Tucker Carlson, and they'll come after Redacted. They'll come after every YouTube channel that's had it so good over the last 5 years and built up such an empire of subscribers. They'll come after all of them and shut them down. And there'll be no warning after that. There'll be nobody on YouTube to warn you about what they plan on doing, because they'll have got rid of all those people. I can see that happening. Yep. Why would they warn you when they've got such evil plans in store? I just want to finish off by saying there are some really good YouTubers out there who have been quite instrumental in opening up people's eyes. And I've mentioned a lot of them. And if they are not on YouTube anymore and you can't reference them and go on their channels, then we're just going to be in the dark. Just in a black hole of nothing. A black hole of nothing. I think that that's what certain people who are right at the top in the global capacity want. They want us to be in darkness and not to see any light. And that's the time, more than anything, that we're going to need to have a lot of spirituality in us to survive. If we don't have that, well, I just can't see us lasting. Anyway, gotta go. Things to do.